Good morning and welcome into the Cowboys Report. We will break down the Trey Lance video as promised, but today's show is made possible by Rhone. I'm rocking the same polo I do in the semi-cheesy intro video. Get yours and 20% off your order by going to rhone.com/chatsports and using code chatsports. So as promised, we are breaking down what we've seen positively, negatively, and everything else in between from Trey Lance through his first two games with the Dallas Cowboys. And there has been good, and there has been bad. So I want to look at the outlook for Trey Lance, where I thought he undoubtedly has gotten better, both in training camp, but in particular in the past couple games for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, you guys, I'm sure, have watched the games very closely as well. So I want you to grade what you have seen from Trey Lance so far. A, B, C, D, or F in the comments section. It is a very low bar from what we've seen opposite him. I would argue Trey Lance has been the most impressive quarterback in the first two preseason games that he has been involved in. The Rams did not play Matthew Stafford. The Cowboys did not play Dak Prescott. Cooper Rush has barely played. But if the floor is Stetson Bennett, a bad performance from Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, the floor is not very high. But I thought he got better. Higher completion percentage in week 2 compared to week 1. He dialed back the rushing yards a little bit. And far fewer passes from week 1 to week 2. Not that big of a difference in passing yards. The overall passing success, big plays, we'll get into in some of the negatives there. But I thought week 1 to week 2 undoubtedly was a step forward. I think a lot of the Trey Lance conversation, the discourse, the narrative, which to an extent, from what I've seen, is kind of cooked. It's already rapidly becoming the fandom side of you're either with me or you're against me, and there's no in between, right? I believe a lot of the conversation, though, stems from the expectations of what you had, of what you wanted, what you want still out of Trey Lance. If you wanted a QB1 that could surpass and replace Dak Prescott this year, he's not there. It's not even a conversation, which it never should have been, by the way. Now, if you wanted a quarterback 2 option, he's fighting for it. And I think you can make real arguments that he can win that job as soon as week 3 of the preseason is over. If you wanted growth, I think you got that. And that's what I wanted. I want to see growth from week 1 to week 2. I think from where he was, started the training camp to where he is now, I think he has gotten better. I think that is progress from Trey Lance. We'll go into why here in a little bit. But will Trey Lance win that quarterback 2 job over Cooper Rush, if it's even announced? It may or may not be. Y for yes, N for, I guess you have to do it by week 1, but will Trey Lance win that QB2 job? Y for yes, N for no in the comment section. I think one big area of the growth we'll discuss on today's show, which is specifically built in the preseason, but I think you've seen it overall in training camp too, is getting the ball out. The week 1 time to throw for Trey Lance was 3.22 seconds. That is not very good. The week 2 time to throw was 2.74 seconds. Now, time you're going, that's like a half second difference. Does that really matter? Big of a difference? Yes. Based on the 2023 NFL regular season stats, which it's not quite the same sample size, so asterisk it if you need to, the 3.22 time from week 1 would have been the season-long second longest time to throw. The week 2 version was number 12. So you went from a guy holding the ball way too long. The only guy held it longer was Justin Fields, not company you want to be in. You're a dual threat. You'll hold the ball a little bit longer. It's not the end of the world if you're making plays as a result. You'll live with some of the downsides of that double-edged sword to an extent. Number 12, much better. And I think a lot of that had to do with the offensive design, which we'll get to here more in depth in a moment. But a quick word from our presenting sponsor, Rhone. The mail closet was due for a radical reinvention. I personally don't like clothes that have the big, ugly logo and kind of distract you from just wearing normal shirts. I think Rhone delivers that in a pretty massive way. You cannot tell that there's some big, giant R right in the middle of your chest or giant text in the middle. That's not my style. Rhone has products for every occasion. Most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, polos, and even blazers now. They look great as individual pieces, and they also work seamlessly together. Their signature 4-way stretch fabric is breathable, flexible, and works everywhere from your commute to work to golf to dinner, drinks, whatever. Rhone has you covered. They also have wrinkle release technology, so The more you wear it, they actually get the wrinkles out a little bit for you. The Commuter Collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Head to Rhone.com/chatsports and use code CHATSPORTS for 20% off your entire order. That is Rhone.com/chatsports. That's RHONE.com/chatsports and use code CHATSPORTS. Find your corner office comfort and save 20% off your entire order along the way. I think part of the reason why he was better, and this is not to diminish anything Trey Lance did, to be clear, but the offensive support and the game plan was far more conducive to making life easier on your quarterback. The ground game showed up in a much more impressive way. They also tried to run the ball more as opposed to let Lance deal in week one. I thought the offensive line was better. They played Tyler Guyton longer. I think they pass protected better. Earl Bostic, unfortunately, getting hurt was probably a net positive in there because he struggled pretty heavily in week one. Fewer drops as well. I think the easy buttons were more available. More boot action, more play action stuff, percentage-wise versus the dropbacks there. They made life easier on Lance, and he game managed better. I also think he had fewer misplays. Now, there were fewer plays to make in general, but I still think the percentage went down. In week one, look, he had multiple touchdowns he left on the field. He had Cropper in the corner. He missed a read for a touchdown. He had opportunities to make big plays. He missed guys. He missed throws. The timing was off. He didn't trust what he was seeing. He made it a lot easier on himself in week two. Now, it helps when Ryan Flournoy absolutely jukes a starting NFL corner out of his shoes on a little hesitation fade route, but let's put that ball right on the money. He didn't have, I think, as many errant high throws. So I do think that it was one of the things I specifically mentioned. They cut down those misplays. He absolutely did that in week two. Now, still ways to go, and we will be live, of course we will be, for the Cowboys' third and final preseason game against the Chargers. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/CowboysTV. I think one of the big areas we saw growth from Trey Lance was under pressure. And I thought a couple of his best plays, especially in week two, came under pressure. There was that one play he found, I think it was Schoonmaker, with pressure right in his face. He wasn't fazed by it. Here are the numbers from week one to week two. Week one under pressure. Now, some of that was self-inflicted by holding the ball too long, but he was 7 of 13 for just 42 yards. That's a really bad yards per attempt number there, 3.2. Week two, 3 of 4, 25 yards, basically doubling his yards per attempt. He wasn't under pressure that much, which again ties back into the offensive line angle and getting the ball out quicker. When blitzed, he was actually really good when blitzed in week two. 8 of 10, 68 yards, 6.8 yards per attempt. They brought the house on that red zone fade. That's what he found the touchdown with there. 5 of 14, meanwhile, in week one. Lance, under pressure when blitzed, that kind of is one of the potential indicators of, hey, who's going to be a good quarterback, who's not going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. If you can't handle the blitz, you can't handle pressure, you're not going to make it. Lance took a big step forward, even if, it's still some vanilla defenses out there. So my big thing has been about growth, improvement. Do you believe that Trey Lance will be better in week three? We'll talk about some of the areas I want to see him be better at. But type G for he's going to show some growth and be better, or R for you're worried about regression in week three. There are still many things I want to see more from Trey Lance. I want to see him push the ball downfield. I don't think that has been a hallmark of the Cowboys passing offense in the preseason so far. The week one passing depth, now I thought it was pretty solid in that medium range, that 10 to 19 yardage range. 6 of 8 for 91 yards in week one. A lot of short stuff. 15 of 23 for 85 is kind of ugly. He also has missed some behind line of scrimmage throws. Sometimes those are throwaways, so you can't read too much into it. But didn't hit a deep ball at all in week one. Week two, he did hit a deep ball, but it was 1 of 2 for 30 yards. The medium passing was again pretty solid, 2 of 2 for 27 yards. Again, a lot of short yardage stuff there. My big takeaway here, you've had one explosive passing play per game. Now, it's not quite a full game, I know, but that's not good enough. It is a very hard life to live in football if you're getting one 20-plus yard play per game. Now, there was another 10 to 19 yarder that went for 20-plus yards back in week one. I'm counting that. I need more explosive plays. So I would like to see the Cowboys try to make that more of a factor. I think in the preseason, you're not so much cared about winning. You care about showcasing what your players can do. Let me see some more attempted deep shots. And not just the one that they missed on last week was that forced play action deep ball that's not actually, I feel like that's never open. Dak loves that seam shot. Can we try some seam shots with Trey Lance this week? Can we get the ball to John Stevens on one of them? I think it's a good idea. I also still need to see better placements. Look, the accuracy, the timing, and at times the touch is still a work in progress for Trey Lance. When he tends to miss high or behind. And those are dangerous misses. You throw it behind the receiver, you got a defender in trail coverage, it's picked off. Miss it high, safety's got that one there. They've been caught, but there is a tendency to not maximize his receiver's yak ability. And I think there is room for that to grow and to improve. And I think if you can get that extra 5 yards each time, that does go a long way. I also just want to see him straight up make more plays. Like, I have not seen a ton of, highlight reel plays from Trey Lance. A lot of them come out of the pocket, doing some stuff with his legs. But I know he can use his legs. I know the arm strength is pretty solid. But let me see some impressive throws. Let me see some strikes downfield. Let me see some impact plays. Light up the box score. Light up the stat sheet. Light up the field with highlight reel impact ability. I have seen, over the years, some really great Cowboys preseason performances. Remember Will Grier last year against the Raiders? Ironically, by the way, 2 of these games have come against the Raiders, which is kind of funny. Will Grier, 29-35, 305. He had 53 yards on the ground and 4 touchdowns. Cooper Rush in a part-time game against the Raiders back in 2017. 12 of 13, 115 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. The entire Dak Prescott 2016 preseason, right? He had 454 passing yards, 7 touchdowns. I have not yet seen a impact Trey Lance dynamic, wow, look how good he looked. I've seen him make some nice plays, but I haven't seen dominance. And I see some dominance from Trey Lance. So what is your confidence level in him so far? Scale it for me from 1 to 10 in the comment section of today's show. So what's still needed then? Number 1, I want to see the ball get pushed downfield, the better placement, make more plays, and all of that kind of ties into some consistency. I think part of it is his footwork. In the Mike McCarthy offense, you really have to time up your footwork and your reads and your progressions and where the receivers are at. And that's not easy to do. I think there are still times Lance is a little late on things, which happens with a young guy. I think the pre-snap stuff's actually pretty good. I mean, you've seen him making checks and barking out signals. That was pretty good actually at the FCS level too for him. But I think the post-snap processing has to get a little bit faster. Here's what Mike McCarthy said on Trey Lance. I thought we improved today, starting with Trey. The 3rd down conversions, we missed a couple there, but 2 14-play drives, that's incredible for preseason football. It shows you his understanding and his confidence, and he just needs to continue to play. He needs reps. He needs to play in live games, particularly in the drop-back phase, because he's doing a very good job managing everything else. So I thought he clearly took a step today. And that, of course, was said after the game, by the way. It's Monday now. But show me where Mike is wrong with that statement. I know there's an instant gratification society, and we're not patient for players to develop. We want them all done right now. But I do think patience is still needed. We've seen progress. There's still areas to grow. But I think you need to continue to give Trey Lance time, which admittedly is complicated because this is the final year of his deal. And barring injury, you're not going to see him play after this week. But one step at a time, let's see some growth in week 3 of the preseason.